Trump's new tariffs on Venezuelan oil, a game changer in global energy politics. Venezuela, home to the world's largest oil reserves, finds itself at the heart of yet another geopolitical storm. Already struggling with economic collapse, political instability, and external pressures from global powers, the country now faces a new challenge: President Donald Trump's decision to impose a 25% tariff on Venezuelan oil. This move is expected to have far-reaching consequences, not only for Venezuela but also for global oil markets, international trade relations, and the balance of power among the United States, China, Russia, and Europe. Since early 2025, the Trump administration has been aggressively reshaping U.S. trade policies.
That the president is going to impose what they're calling secondary sanctions on Venezuela, secondary tariffs, I should say, on Venezuela, using the tariffs as if they're
51 past the hour. Breaking this morning, President Trump announcing the U.S. will be levying a secondary tariff on Venezuela.
The U.S. will impose a 25% tariff on any country that buys oil and gas from Venezuela.
So what happened today with Venezuela, we did something with Venezuela, which is long in the making.
The latest and perhaps most striking decision has been the imposition of steep tariffs on countries purchasing Venezuelan oil. In a bold statement on social media, Trump declared that any nation buying oil and gas from Venezuela would face a 25% tariff, a move designed to financially cripple the government of President Nicolas Maduro. This announcement has sent shockwaves through global energy markets, worsening Venezuela's already dire economic situation and putting countries reliant on its oil in a difficult position. Why has Trump taken this step? Trump has justified these sanctions on the grounds of national security and foreign policy interests. He has accused the Maduro regime of widespread human rights abuses, corruption, and criminal activities, claiming that Venezuela has become a threat in the Western Hemisphere. By imposing tariffs, the U.S. aims to isolate Maduro's government economically and cut off one of its key sources of revenue. The decision also aligns with Trump's broader America First economic strategy, which prioritizes the interests of U.S. businesses, especially domestic oil producers, over foreign trade relations. The sanctions are intended not just to weaken Venezuela.
So what happened today with Venezuela, we did something with Venezuela, which is long in the making.
But also to strengthen the position of American energy companies by reducing competition from cheaper Venezuelan crude oil. The impact on Venezuela and global oil markets. Venezuela's state-owned oil company, PDVSA, has already been struggling due to previous U.S. sanctions and years of economic mismanagement. In 2024, Venezuela's oil and gas exports were valued at $5.6 billion, a significant sum for its struggling economy. However, the country has faced major difficulties accessing international markets due to restrictions imposed by Washington. The latest tariffs could prove devastating. Venezuela's primary oil buyers, China, Russia, and Iran, are now under greater pressure. Even though these nations have been defying U.S. sanctions in recent years, Washington's decision to penalize any country purchasing Venezuelan oil adds a new layer of risk to their trade. Additionally, Trump's move is shaking global oil markets. Investors fear a further decline in Venezuelan oil supply, which could tighten global availability and drive prices up. Since the tariff announcement, oil prices have already started rising. China and Russia's response. China, Venezuela's largest oil buyer, has strongly condemned the U.S. tariffs. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Gu Jian, accused Washington of interfering in Venezuela's internal affairs and warned that the trade war would ultimately harm American businesses and consumers. Russia, another key supporter of the Maduro regime, is also expected to react. With U.S. sanctions already affecting Russian oil exports, Moscow sees Venezuela as an important ally in the global energy market. It remains to be seen how Russia will respond to this latest challenge from Washington. The broader impact on U.S. trade and foreign policy. The Trump administration's economic nationalism is not just targeting Venezuela. On April 2nd, 2025, Trump is set to introduce a new series of global tariffs, known as reciprocal tariffs, aimed at countries that impose duties on American goods. While Trump calls this Liberation Day, experts warn that such aggressive trade policies could undermine the global strength of the U.S. dollar and push foreign nations to seek alternative economic partnerships. In Latin America, Trump's Venezuelan oil tariffs are already causing unrest. Countries like Brazil, Argentina, and Chile were previously considering Venezuelan oil as an alternative energy source. Now, these nations may rethink their trade relationships with the U.S. as Washington's actions increase instability in the region. Even Mexico, though not a major importer of Venezuelan oil, is wary of how U.S. trade policies might impact its own economy under the USMCA, formerly NAFTA, trade agreement. Is there a way out for Venezuela? For decades, Venezuela has been overly dependent on oil revenues, making it highly vulnerable to market fluctuations and external pressures. Countries like Norway successfully manage their oil wealth by building strong institutions, economic diversification strategies, and sovereign wealth funds. Venezuela, on the other hand, failed to invest in sustainable industries, making it almost entirely reliant on petroleum exports. The global shift towards renewable energy is another challenge for oil-dependent economies like Venezuela. As solar, wind, and other renewable sources become more dominant, the country's long-term economic survival may depend on its ability to diversify beyond oil. However, with its economy already in crisis, achieving this transformation will be an uphill battle. The road ahead, a new geopolitical battlefield. Trump's tariff decision is more than just an economic measure. It is a powerful geopolitical weapon. By punishing countries that buy Venezuelan oil, Washington is asserting its dominance over the global energy trade and forcing its allies and rivals to choose sides. However, history has shown that aggressive trade policies often have unintended consequences. If other nations resist U.S. pressure and find ways to bypass these tariffs, Washington's influence over the oil market could weaken. Moreover, Venezuela may deepen its alliances with China, Russia, and other U.S. adversaries, further complicating global diplomatic relations. One thing is clear: the battle over Venezuelan oil is far from over. As tensions rise and global energy markets react, the world is once again witnessing how natural resources can shape the fate of nations. What do you think? Will Trump's move successfully weaken the Maduro government? Or will it push Venezuela further into the hands of U.S. rivals? Could this be the beginning of a larger global trade war? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.